Hello and welcome to Kukoon. My name is Selena and I am thrilled to be sharing practice with you today. So whether this is your first time here or you've been joining us for some time, I want to make sure that you have checked out our website. There we have compiled a virtual birth bundle guide, and in it we have checklists and resources and links and a wealth of knowledge there packed into one guide, all the way from your first, second, third, and fourth trimester, which is for when after baby's born. So if you haven't checked it out, it's for free. Go to kukoonyoga.com. Today we're going to be starting in a wide knee child's pose, so I do want to make sure that you are set up for success. Please make sure you have a towel, a blanket, or even a pillow off of your couch available so that you can pull in if need be to fill space and just make yourself feel cozy, comfortable in this pose. So what you want to do is bring your big toes together to touch, bring your knees nice and wide, and then slowly start to melt and settle in between your legs. Make your way down very gently, nudging your way to the ground. And again, if you do need to fill space there, if you feel like you want to bring yourself up a little higher off the ground, bring in that prop and either placing it under your forehead or under your armpits even. Reach your arms out, extending the fingertips forward as far as you can. Settle into this space between your legs. With each inhale, finding that abundance and opening. And with each exhale, settling in, melting a little deeper. So we're going to stay here for a few more cycles. Adjust and nudge around to get comfortable if you need to, or if this just isn't a pose for you right now, no problem. Come on out, take a tall seat. So with each cycle of breath, the inhalation fills you up from head to toe, all the way until your skin. When it arrives at your skin, that's the boundary, that's where it stays. We need not go further than that today. And then as you exhale, slowly melt that breath back inwards to your bones. So we're talking with boundaries today. Inhale outwards to the skin. Let that be your boundary. Exhale inwards to the bones. And just continue that cycle. Inhale, expand to the skin. And exhale, sink inwards to the bones. Let this be a safe place for you to exist and arrive for practice. This place within your body. Nothing else exists right now. For the moment, it is just inhale to the skin. And exhale inwards to the bones. One more cycle. Make it deep, make it abundant. Very slowly. Walking your hands back up and up and up, and you can just shift that prop out of the way for now. We don't need it. And walking forward, I know that was a lot of pressure on the ankles, so let's just come into tabletop and give the ankles a little womp out. Just a gentle tap on the ground to wake them back up. Good. Moving right into our cat-cow now. Inhale, take your gaze up, settle your shoulders down. Checking in, how does this feel? Exhale, roll around. Coming into this kind of angry cat back. Moving with the flow of your breath as you inhale, guide your way up. And as you exhale, arc your spine, take your gaze towards baby. Notice the boundaries of this pose. Don't see them as restrictions or limitations within your body as your body is changing each week, growing baby. you will form new boundaries, new limits on what your body can do and where it can move. So explore that now. Celebrate it. It is not a restriction. It is a celebration. How does that feel in your body? You can be creative with your movement. Getting some side sway in there as well. Good. One more cycle in and out. And we'll just meet right back up in tabletop. Okay, so if your wrists are giving you a little bit of trouble, you can sit back and just give them a little rollout at any time. And your modifications for wrist soreness are simply just coming up onto fists, straightening out the wrist creases. This helps with the weight on the joint. Or you can also navigate down onto forearms if you'd like as well. So options, take them. We're going to extend the right leg out long, planting the toe mound on the ground. So this is a calf stretch. Feel free to stay here, especially if when you raise up a leg, it feels like you got kicked in the crotch and you have that symphysis pubic dysfunction going on. You'll know it if you have it. It's kind of a dull ache in the pubic bone. And when you raise that leg up. Okay, so checking in, how does this feel? Do you just want to come back into that calf stretch? You can stay here too, it's just as glorious. Otherwise, raise the leg up and flex all the way to the upper glute. That's your gluteus medius, right on top of the glute muscle here, that littler muscle that stabilizes your sacrum. Charge up that leg. And then when you're ready, bend into the right knee. Take a peek behind you and make sure you're in full alignment here so your joints are stacked and you're not way out to the right. And now let's pump. Let's raise the roof with that foot. You'll notice I'm doing just little movements here, almost micro movements. I'm just moving no more than an inch. If you do the big movements up and down, you're going to be accessing the bigger glute muscle, the maximus. And we want to activate the smaller glute muscle up higher, the medius, gluteus medius. So just little movements will do it. You feel that fire start to build up right away. Maybe you feel little twinges in the muscle. That just means it's working. That's good. Good. And one more pump. Releasing that leg down. Keep it extended. And walk the foot over to the left side of your mat. Shift your props out of the way. Take your gaze over that left shoulder and towards that right foot. Feel that beautiful side body stretch through your right side hip. Opening it up, breathe into it. Where does your boundary lie here in this pose? What feels good? Gently come back through center, sitting back on your heels, give the wrists a roll out. We'll do the opposite side. So shift those wrists if you need to. Coming up onto fists or forearms, whatever feels good for you. Okay, extending the left leg long, plant the toe mound on the ground, find a beautiful calf stretch, and then raise the leg up, check in, how does it feel? Do you want to keep the foot down? That's okay too. Charge all the way up to your upper medius, upper glute muscle, and then bend into your left knee, taking a little peek behind and make sure you're not splayed out to the side. Everything is in alignment with your hip. Raise the roof, just an inch. These sunbird pumps are glorious because they really help us to access the gluteus medius, that smaller muscle that stabilizes the sacrum, the big shifty bone at the base of your spine in your pelvis there that's moving a lot during your pregnancy as relaxin starts to settle in, that hormone that opens your joints. Yeah. So help stabilize the muscle by strengthening the gluteus medius. One more pump. And then release the leg down. Shift your foot over towards the right side of your mat. And then you can just gaze over towards the foot. Check in, how does that feel on the left side body now? Can you still breathe with abundance? Your boundaries are here. Celebrate them. Always checking in. Good, coming back through your center and then give the hips a big swivel out. Okay, so take your knees a little bit wider than your hips and then untuck your toes, bring them together to touch and come up into kneeling on your mat. Arms are by your side. You're kneeling up nice and tall like a mountain pose, lifting up through the crown of your head. And then on your inhale, sweep your arms up over. Exhale, bow forward in between your legs. So this is like that wide knee child's pose that we did. Inhale, come up through to your cow, nice flat back, gaze up. And then exhale, come down fist on fist into your puppy dog. So bum is up in the air. Give your tail a little wag, hips sway from side to side. Do what feels good right here, right now. Tune into your next inhale and slowly rise up into your cow. Flat back, gaze up. Exhale, fold back into your wide knee child's pose. Bow forward. And then on your inhale, ragdoll up. So really drag your arms. And let your head be the last to arrive. Let go of any tension in your neck as you make your way right back up to starting kneeling. Okay, so we'll do the exact same thing again, but check in with this time. Do you want to come into that puppy dog with bum up in the air, or do you want to turn it into a full down dog expression? Where do your boundaries lie right here, right now? How are you feeling? Only you know. Arms by your sides. Inhale, sweep. Exhale, bow forward. Wide knee child's pose. Inhale, coming into cow, gaze up. Exhale, puppy dog or down dog. Bum goes in the air and give the tail a sway. Side to side, we're just here for a breath, not long. If you're in down dog, lower your knees to the ground, keep them nice and wide. And coming into your cow, gaze up. Fold back into your wide knee child's pose. Inhale, ragdoll up. Dragging the hands up and up and up. Keep your head heavy, releasing tension in your shoulders and neck. Glorious. I love wide knee. That feels amazing. Good. All right, we're gonna curl the toes under and ragdoll all the way up, because I do love ragdoll so much, to standing. So curl your toes under. Now, first thing first though, we wanna make sure this doesn't just get turned into a fitness squat. What we're doing here with the ragdoll is we're trying to open up the spine and create a little bit of traction there. So really allow your head to hang heavy. Try and release any tension here. Let the arms be floppy. So putting the fingers on the floor, bum comes up first. Drop the crown of your head to the floor. Nice soft knees as you lift, stacking vertebrae upon vertebrae. Taking 5 to 8 seconds to get up. Release the tension in your neck, shoulders, head, as you come all the way to standing at the top of your mat. So find your mountain pose. Mountain is big. Remember, there are a lot of cues here that we need to explore. So stacking ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips, and hips over heels. Root all 4 corners of your feet into the ground equally. Engage your thighs. Activate all the way up to the gluteus medius right up here that we were charging up earlier. And then think about blossoming your bum versus tucking the tail under. So blossom your sits bones, stack your rib cage right over top of your pelvis so you're not splaying too far forward or back. Good. Open your palms to the front, and this helps to open up the chest and heart. And I'll show you from a side view here our next little flow. Let's take 2 big out breaths. So inhale through the nose. And then open mouth, sigh it out long. Again. Hands to your hips. Take a giant step back with the right foot. So we're coming into warrior 1 lunge, which means the back toe is facing forward to allow the hips to face the front of your mat. Inhale, sweep your arms up overhead, and then exhale. Put a little bend into your front knee. It does not have to be a lot. Just stack the knee right over top of the heel. Most important cue in this posture is to engage your legs. So hug them in towards the center line, and this will activate your core, giving you stability and helping to strengthen this area of your Uddiyana Bandha. So hug and integrate. Full expression of the pose is arms overhead. If you want to take it, you can. One breath cycle. Oh, Willow's come to say hi. Good, and then slowly release your arms down, bringing the palms to your lower back, to that sacral area. Keep the engagement in between your legs as you lift your heart up towards the sky. And so here we're not coming into a back bend. We don't do back bends in this class, no way. That would activate the six pack. And so rather we're just lifting the heart and opening up the collarbones. Beautiful. Slowly sail back up through center. Hands on your hips. We're going to pivot the heels to face the side of your mat and then angle your toes out, kind of like a plie. Little bend in your knees, little bounce in your joints, and we're gonna start to sway from side to side. So I like to have my fingers on the inside of my thighs with the heel of the hand on top of the thigh. That feels most comfortable for me, where I have the most stability. And you can see I am kind of adjusting my feet placement as I come to make it so the knees don't track too far over the foot, over the toes. So what feels good for you, adjust if you need to adjust. And here, really start to explore where your boundaries lie. How deep do you want to come as you flow through this ninja posture? Maybe you can reach those fingers towards the floor and walk across. Or maybe you're like, yeah, that doesn't feel so great. You're just going to stay up here on the thighs. Maybe you want to roll a shoulder in. This is really your class, so I want you to take from it what you need in each moment. So we are talking about boundaries today, boundaries physically in each posture, of course, always checking in, especially during the later stages of your pregnancy when things become more bountiful and baby gets bigger faster, but also thinking about boundaries when it comes to your birth and postpartum, okay? So slowly come back through center now, hands to your hips. We're gonna pivot to face of the back of the mat and do that warrior posture, now facing the back. So the back left foot is facing forward, hands to your hips. Hips are facing the front of your mat. Inhale, sweep arms up. Exhale, bend into your front knee. Remember the connection between your legs, like you're on a sheet of ice and would do the splits if you didn't hug them together. So thinking about boundaries during your birth, I think this is really important to take note of now. I remember during my first birth, I had my friends and family texting me a lot. And my first birth took 24 hours, bringing your hands to your lower sacral area. Now find your heart lift. And with all the texts, and I know everybody was just excited, it ended up making me feel like I was doing something wrong, like things weren't happening fast enough. Any news yet? Any baby yet? What's going on? You know, I got these texts and it eventually started to kind of alter my state of mind. Take your hands to your hips, straighten the front leg, pivot on your heels, and then hop that back foot up to meet the front and give your hips a little shake out. Take a stroll to the back of your mat. So we're gonna come into squat flow now. I want you to just come into a halfway squat. If you feel like coming deeper, you can, of course. If your baby is 35 weeks and older, and you know that baby is in that breech position, which is bum down, then I don't encourage you to come too deep. The deep squatting can help encourage baby to drop, and we don't want baby to drop at that stage if they're not in that optimal position, okay? So just a half squat for you. Arms by your sides, feet plied out. Inhale, sweep overhead, and exhale, bring it down the center line. Just shoot your bum out behind you. Remember, fingers to the inside of the thighs. And then here it's just kind of that angry cat back to rise and ragdoll up. Okay, keep flowing. So boundaries. I learned with my second birth that I didn't actually tell anybody I was going into labor. I didn't want the bother of having to keep in contact with everybody. I would just send them the good news after. And so think about that now. Who do you want to have on your call list? Maybe you want to have your partner manage your phone instead of you. So thinking about that now as you move into the stage of your birth. Also thinking about boundaries when it comes to after baby is born. That first week postpartum is such a sacred time, and so many shifts are happening with you, your new role, your partner's new role, and your whole family unit. And so really thinking about how many visitors and whom you would like to have visit you during that time. Is it people who just want to come meet the baby and gush over the baby, or is it people that are actually going to come help you and clean and cook and hold the baby while you shower? So if you're thinking, yeah, maybe I want to just limit some visitors, know that it is absolutely okay to say that. I got a little bit of pushback from my family when I said no visitors for the first week. And you know what? Honestly, baby's cuter after the first week anyways. And then I've adjusted to my role as mother, to breastfeeding, and all the newness that was in our life, the big hormonal shifts. So where do your boundaries lie? Bring it down the center line. On your last cycle, we're going to start to reach for the floor and come forward. So take your time. This is a slow integration to the floor, transitioning as you sweep your feet around and come to sit on your bum. Okay. So set yourself here in staff pose, pulling the flesh out of the way of your sits bones, sitting up in this big 90-degree, very challenging pose. So draw your pinkies towards your ears, flexing your feet. Help to engage your legs, which helps to straighten out the legs if you kind of can feel that the thighs are toned here. Think about lifting up through the crown of your head, stacking ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips. And if you want to, you can keep your hands here or bring them up overhead. So reach the fingers up tall and then settle your shoulders down. Very, very hard. Breathe. Don't hold contraction here in your six-pack area. This is soft. It's just your core that's actually giving you this height. But for most of us, because that's the weaker tummy muscle, our six-pack wants to take over, just like our gluteus maximus on our bum wants to take over. So it's these little micro cues and shifts that we have to acknowledge in order to help those weaker muscles to come into play. One more breath. Good. And then slowly release your arms down. All right, so bend into your right knee now, and we're just gonna shift. I'll show you a little bit from the side. We're just gonna shift that leg over top of the extended left leg. Now we're gonna get intimate with the feet here and thread your fingers through the toes, like you're kind of holding your own hand, but holding your foot. So threading your fingers through your toes. It's easy for me, I've got really long toes. And then spreading the toe joints out as much as you can, as much as feels comfortable for you. When you're there, start to roll the joint out. So our ankles and our foundation, our feet take so much throughout the day, and they don't often receive a lot of love back. So here we're just being very gentle, very compassionate with ourselves as we start to roll around. And you can take your thumb on your free hand there and kind of massage into the foot as well, and find those juicy spots that feel good to release, that might be holding on to tension around the heel, the Achilles, around the arch of the foot, the toe mound. So just giving a little love back. And so thinking about boundaries, as you move into that role of mother, that'll become ever more prominent, and you will start to set more boundaries for relationships around you. And eventually when your little ones grow up, for them, it's huge. Okay, good. Slowly unwind, unthread those fingers, and then extend that leg long. Opposite side, bend into the left knee, take it over, interlace your fingers. So thinking about how comfortable you are with setting these boundaries. Is it something that you find challenging, that you've always found challenging in life to set boundaries for yourself? And if it is, then that's where you can have dialogue with your partner on how they can help support you. Because that postpartum period, especially that postpartum period, is really integral for you to feel holistically supported. And sometimes that means setting boundaries so people people don't come over or aren't in constant communication with you. Sometimes it's as simple as creating the email list now that your partner will then send updates to, and you will educate them on how often they will receive updates and how often to contact you. Something as simple as that. Good. Rotate around, maybe a little massage. So I know there are lots of apps out there where you can help communicate pictures and updates for family. Or I actually created an email for my babies after we knew their names, and I created Gmail accounts for all of them. So they all have Gmail accounts now. And instead of doing it through apps or social media, I would just post pictures and updates, and I would send it to their Gmail account and then to all the other family that wanted to stay in touch, and it would go via email instead of social media. So thinking about that now, getting yourself set up for success. Okay, unthread your fingers, extend that leg out long, give it a little shake out, and then bring your feet in, and bringing them together, open up like you're kind of reading a book. So the further out your heels are from your pelvis, the more of a stretch you're going to get kind of on the outer thigh. The closer you bring your heels in to your pelvis, the more of a stretch you're going to get on the inner thigh. So where are your boundaries? What feels good for you right now? Set yourself up there, and then tent your fingers behind you. Come into this heart lift. So again, it's not a back bend. A back bend requires a great deal of core strength and connection. And right now with baby growing, we want to make sure that we're not coming into those back bends, as it does activate the six-pack area, the rectus abdominis, which then can aggravate something called diastasis recti. Talk a lot about that in other classes, and I have another video on YouTube that you can check out all about diastasis recti. So we just want to avoid any of these poses or movements that activate the six-pack. So gaze up, widen your collarbones, kind of squeeze your shoulder blades towards your spine. Breathe. And then using those fingers in the ground behind you to start to push yourself forward, collapsing into this beautiful forward fold. So don't worry if your spine is rounding. Let your head fall. You can bring your arms around front if that feels good to help support you here. And of course, bring any props in as well. Anything that you might need, even if I don't cue for it. So can you let yourself collapse into the space between your legs as much as possible? Not so that you're kind of gritting your teeth, trying to grin and bear through it. If it's too intense of a stretch, you need to back out of that then. That's your boundary. So where does your edge lie? We shouldn't be looking for an 80 or 90% edge here. No, we want to look for more like a 50% edge, and then focus the rest into our breathing. Very slowly start to walk your hands back up. Go slowly. It's a big stretch, that one. Good. And then extend the legs out long. You can give it another little shake out and windshield wiper, which I always like to do after big hip openers. Good. All right, so finding your final posture here for Shavasana. If you want to lie down, make your way to a chair or couch, or just simply come up into a tall seat. We won't be here for long. So whatever that final posture looks like for you, I want you to close your eyes and focus back in on that skin to bone breath cycle. Holding on to that boundary, not allowing the breath to escape further than the skin, allowing the breath to seep in, fill us up from head to toe, all the way to the skin, and then receding, kind of melting its way back in and being reabsorbed into the bones. attention back to skin and bone if it's wandered. Keep your mind focused there on the visual. Thank you for sharing space with me today. Namaste.